Hi everybody, and thank you for joining us today for the AdEspresso June webinar. As you can probably see on your screen there, we're joined today by Casey and Shashank from Google. We're very honored to have some of the Google team with us today. We're going to let them do their own introductions in a second. But as you can see, what we're going to be covering today is about measurement and attribution. This follows on from our previous Google webinar, and we're going to be looking at capturing your conversions there. So just before I hand over to Casey and Shashank, a little bit of housekeeping, as we always do. Most people want to know if we're recording so that you can review the presentation later. Yes, we are. So within 24 hours of the live session ending, we're going to put it on our website, which is adespresso.com/webinars. And you can also watch it on our YouTube channel. If you just search for AdEspresso, you'll see our YouTube channel and you can watch the replay there. So we'll put that up as soon as possible there. And then this is going to be an interactive session. So you'll see in your GoToWebinar panel there, there's a question box. If you've got any technical questions, my colleague Margarita's monitoring chat today and she'll help you with that. Also, any questions, we'll try and get to them at the end of the webinar, so feel free to put them there. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Casey and Shashank, and just give me a second, and I'm just going to make Shashank presenter, and then we'll dive into today's training there. Great, Shashank, you should be able to go and share your screen now.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Looks
we can see it
good.
now.
Great. Thank you, Paul, and hello to the AdEspresso community. Great to be back with you today to cover part 2 of our 2-part series around the very important, big, constantly evolving topic of measurement and attribution. So as an intro, I'm Casey Lynn. I am a partner manager with Google. I lead the partnership between Google and AdEspresso. I've been with Google for about 3 years now, and prior to that, I spent almost 2 decades helping businesses of all sizes navigate the digital space, the complexity in the digital ad space, and successfully really transform with the times as we went. So really happy to be here with you and to introduce you to my colleague, Shashank. Shashank, would you like to do a quick intro?
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Shashank Kaushal. For those of you who may have difficulty remembering names, Shawshank Redemption, that's a good way to remember my name. My name is not pronounced in any way like Shawshank, but it's an easy way to remember it. I'm in America's measurement lead, and I've been at Google for nearly 10 years now. Wow. I didn't, yeah, this is probably the first time I'm saying that sentence. So I've been working with a lot of our measurement ad solutions here at Google, and I've been working with small and medium businesses in my capacity across various roles within Google. And prior to that, I was also working in an agency which was supporting small and medium businesses. So I'm really, really excited about being here to talk about measurement. And looking forward to get through this 1 hour with all of you.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us, Shashank. It's fantastic to have you join us today and to bring your expertise as it relates to measurement. Maybe we can go to the next slide, please. So today we're going to talk about capturing and crediting conversions. That's what we're going to deep dive in today. But what you can expect in the next 45 minutes is, number one, I'm going to do a quick recap of our last session, the fundamentals session that we did a couple of weeks ago. And then I'll turn it over to Shashank to talk about conversion modeling and attribution, as well as give you a bit of an introduction to the next genesis of Google Analytics in GA4. And then, of course, as we typically do, we'll leave some time for Q&A. So a recap of session 1, which was measurement and attribution fundamentals in a privacy-forward future. Go to the next slide here. So really the beats of our conversation last time, we covered how the customer journey continues to become more and more fragmented and complex as we jump from device to device, toggle between channels to find information, products, services. And it's making it more difficult than ever for marketers to understand this customer journey. And in tandem with this, we've seen an increase in expectations and standards around privacy from users. And we've seen the industry and regulators respond through technology and regulatory changes, which has made this measurement even more challenging. So essentially, marketers are forced to do more with less. We talked about how in the face of this, that everyone in the industry has got to invest in better, more privacy-centric measurement. But we also said, it doesn't need to mean worse outcomes or worse performance. In fact, the opposite. And Google, as your partner, we're here and we're investing in privacy-preserving measurement solutions that raise the bar on user privacy while also helping to meet the needs of you as marketers and advertisers or publishers, so that we can, in the end, ensure a healthy and thriving, sustainable ecosystem and ensure that people all around the world can continue to access ad-supported content across the web and all the apps that are out there. And finally, we actually spent most of our time talking about, how can we take action here? How can we prepare for the future? How can we set the foundation? And we talked about the importance of first-party data and maximizing insights from those via utilizing machine learning. And we really doubled down our time and our focus in that session around site-wide tagging, your options around that, as well as how to implement. Next slide. So to maybe check on some of the learnings, let's do a poll. Paul, I think we have a couple of poll questions set up to ask the audience. So we'll try to serve up the first one. Which technology change is affecting conversion tracking? Please go ahead and answer the one of three questions, or one of three potential solutions here.
Just going to wait a few more seconds for everybody to answer. We're nearly there now. I think we're getting close to a winner. Okay, I'm just going to close the poll now.
All right.
And I'm going to share the results.
Excellent. Absolutely. 75% of you were correct. Third-party cookies were blocked, and first-party cookies have more restrictions. Great. And we actually have a second one for you to get you warmed up here.
Okay, going to launch our second poll now. Let's do that.
I can implement global site tag by working with one of these potential solutions. Go ahead and answer in your choice.
Before, just give it a few more seconds, let everybody get their answers in. Okay, again, give it another 5 seconds. There we go, we're going to close the poll now, and the results are going to be on the screen in a second.
Excellent. You are all very bright for this Thursday afternoon. Either that or this is too easy of a question, but Google Tag Manager and GTag is absolutely correct. So cool. Thank you for those that participated. So moving to the next slide, essentially we focused in on the importance of laying the foundation, getting to know your customers using first-party data solutions. Specifically, we spent time around site-wide tagging. And now we're going to take you through to the next step, which is evolving and expanding from there, talking about how collected conversion data can power machine learning and essentially, in the end, drive performance of your advertising programs and essentially reaching your marketing objectives. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Shashank to take it away.
Hey everyone, sorry, my screen flickered there. Hopefully everybody can still see the screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen fine.
Okay, great. Awesome. Folks, I'm really excited to be talking about some really critical parts of the evolving part of this journey. Basically, the way I want to sort of begin is that before getting into the specifics of conversion modeling, it's important to understand the current digital environment that has brought us here today. And it seems like the way that you all handled the poll answers that you're very, very aware of that. And so in interest of time, I'm going to go fairly quickly in the initial part of these slides, and where the meat of the dish is basically how of this conversion modeling. That's where we'll slow down so everybody gets what's going on here. So again, users' expectations about privacy are platform agnostic. They expect their privacy to be respected and protected across all digital platforms, no matter if browsing a website or downloading an app. And internet platforms have also been shifting to meet these higher user expectations. Previously, we lived in a world fully observable data, which means cookie device identifiers could be used to our heart's extent. This new ecosystem is dynamic, and change is the new norm. If the availability of identifiers will degrade over time, the way we are using these identifiers must evolve as well. These changes are pushing the industry to aggregated and anonymized measurement and data collection. As the ceiling of observable ad to conversion linkages continually decreases, the reliance on conversion modeling to provide comprehensive measurement reporting will continue to increase. Even with all the right infrastructure in place, there are still gaps that no one will be able to fill. The data we report in your conversions column is a combination of observable data and model data. We'll go into more detail in the next section regarding what we mean when we say modeled. But I want to talk a little bit about how we've moved over the years. So in 2016, before most of these new regulations and changes were in place, the industry was in still a very much greenfield situation and was able to provide almost all observed data. The new industry and browser changes have caused a shift towards more model data. The composition of reported model conversions will continue to grow as the industry faces more gaps due to browser and regulation changes. Please note that this is an illustrative example. This does not reflect the exact breakout of modeled observed data in your account or when this ratio will continue to increase, but it is bound to happen as we are talking. So now that we have an understanding of the background and context, let's focus on conversion modeling specifically. Conversion modeling comes into play when we encounter data that is subject to these browser, OS, and regulatory restrictions. It helps us assign linkages between ad interactions and conversions, where otherwise that linkage is unobservable. Note here that across most of our modeling, we are not creating new conversions. Rather, we are assigning linkages between ad interactions and conversions. However, in some cases, like cookie consent in Europe and app conversion subject to all ATT iOS 14 policy, we may not observe the conversion at all due to consent banners. We conducted a research on advertisers' usage of conversion data in 2020. Now, please note that for this study, the respondents were not aware that Google was asking the questions, and these questions were answered in a general context on conversion modeling, not pertaining to Google-specific data. And the big questions were, what type of data is most important to you when assessing your campaign performance and making business decisions? And which of the following best describes how your company makes decisions or takes actions on observed data versus model data? Across both questions, 2x as many advertisers prefer to use a combination of observed plus model data versus just observed data. We also asked advertisers for each of the following scenarios to rate the degree if at all, that conversion modeling is a consideration when analyzing measurement and assessing performance. We found that across every area, like online, app, online to offline, cross-device, that advertisers strongly or somewhat consider conversion modeling when evaluating performance, which leads us to the indicator that the industry has been prepping for this for a while, and so have a lot of the advertisers too. So modeling poses several benefits to your business, including a larger representative view of your performance to gain a more accurate picture of your advertising outcomes and a complete picture of the conversion path across devices and channels resulting from ad interactions. It also leads to more efficient campaign optimizing and bidding. Model conversions help you optimize your campaigns more effectively and achieve better business results. Privacy regulations and technology limitations mean that we lose observation for certain cohorts of users. For example, unconsented users or users using particular device types or browsers. This means our automated bidding algorithms will need to make optimizing decisions based on incomplete data, resulting in biased learning. As a result, automated bidding may deprioritize those cohorts since they have a lower reported performance, leading to overall poorer performance by the bidder. Modeling solves for these biases and corrects them in overall reporting to ensure automated bidding has access to a more representative performance data. In other words, better data in, better data out. And lastly, accurate privacy-safe measurement. Conversion modeling ensures your measurement remains privacy-safe, hence building for the future. So conversions power revenue. I think that is very, very clear for most advertisers, right? Conversion modeling, though, is an important step in that process of getting it right, which will lead to more efficient reporting and bidding, as we already covered in the last slide. And as conversions are the lifeblood of all ads business, we all know that they enable an advertiser to measure the performance of their media. But if you step back and think about the broader ecosystem of our ad products, you see that the conversions power Google's ability to drive meaningful value for advertisers through automation tools. Combined with these critical innovations, conversions help advertisers grow their business with Google. Google's privacy vision includes privacy-preserving technologies such as conversion modeling, which is resilient to future ecosystem changes. We believe privacy and performance are not at odds with each other and can coexist. These ecosystem changes are an opportunity to build sustainable and to up-level the entire ecosystem for everyone. Okay, now to the interesting part. How does it all work? So real quick, since 2016, Google has been using conversion modeling to model for ad to conversion linkages that aren't 100% observable. This might be a new concept for app advertisers, but it has been happening for years on the web of the business. And a good example is cross-device conversions, right? Like the internet cookie was never able to track a conversion when a user shifted from one device to another. But ever since 2016, when Google introduced cross-device conversion modeling, it has always employed the use of conversion modeling to provide more representative number of conversions. The pace of industry change is accelerating, and we anticipate more reasons to provide conversion modeling in the future. We use non-sensitive signals as similar slices of traffic. These signals are used as inputs to create the traffic slices where we can align like groups and produce conversion rates. We are not using signals like age, gender, or other demographics, which some companies may view as sensitive. Whether we use a given signal and how much weight we place on the signal is dependent on the model. So for example, for cross-device modeling, we may weigh device type more, while for ITP modeling, we may weigh the browser more. We are not using signals like age or gender to create these traffic slices. So how does it work? Google will receive data in the form of an ad interaction, example, clicks or views, and conversions, Sometimes these things are sent with a linkage between the two, so we understand which conversions were caused by which ad interaction. Other times, this is not possible. In this first step, we look at an advertiser's campaign data and separate it into two groups as described on the slide here. So moving on real quick, in the observe group, that being the group where we have the linkage between the ad interaction and the conversion, we divide it into smaller subgroups. We determine how to subdivide the observed group by using non-sensitive signals like device type, browser, time of day, country, conversion type, etc. Within each of these subgroups, we calculate the conversion rates. You can imagine for a large campaign, we may have dozens of subgroups, each with their own conversion rates. There is no one number we use to determine the size of the subgroup. It will be dependent on the specific campaigns and the ability to cluster different groups together. Now that we have the discrete subgroups from the observed population and corresponding conversion rates, we take the unobserved ad interactions and conversions and line them up to these subgroups based on the shared characteristics. So subgroup 1 may be in France, convert in early mornings, use Chrome as their browser, and are on an iPhone. We see in the observed group similar characteristics in the ad interaction and conversion data. So we align these groups appropriately based on these similarities. This separates the unobserved population into subgroups as well aligned with the subgroups created in the previous step. And since we've aligned the subgroups among both observed and unobserved data, we are able to create a machine learning model using the known conversion rates from the observed subgroups. This looks at the unobserved data and assigns linkages where appropriate between ad interactions and conversions. Based on the model output, not every ad interaction will link to conversion, and that's okay, as we don't expect every ad interaction to lead to a conversion. And conversely, every conversion isn't caused by a Google ad interaction. Once all of the ad interactions and conversions have the appropriate linkages between them, we combine them and surface them in your report. Where we can, we provide modeling directly integrated into your account for more holistic reporting and efficient optimization. We do not distinguish between the observed and modeled data and reporting. Instead, they are reported in aggregate. While conversion modeling happens across various teams at Google, each with their own unique algorithm, there are certain commonalities that apply across all online conversion models. These can broadly be grouped into these three categories here. The first one are the principles that focus on data processes and inputs that power our models. The second part is principles that highlight the uniqueness that underlies our modeling. And lastly, principles that speak to our commitment to user and customers throughout. So in the next few slides, we'll go through an example for each of these buckets. So the first one is quality data. We use techniques like holdback validation to check the accuracy of our modeling. One way we ensure accuracy is by holding back a portion of observable data and applying modeling to that portion. We then compare the output of the model to the observed conversions that we initially held back and calibrate for any biases. This is a common methodology in machine learning that allows us to spot inaccuracies and refine our models. Of course, this is assuming that the data we train on is the representative of the data we are modeling. The stronger our training data, which is the data we receive from our advertisers, the more accurate the modeling will be. That's why it's so important to ensure that you've taken the steps outlined, to make the more robust first-party data. Second, we are going to be talking about the unique data to each advertiser. Here are two different advertisers, both who receive conversion modeling, but in different capacities. Advertiser 1 has a consent banner, a large percent of conversions subject to ITP, and many cross-device conversions. Advertiser 2 doesn't have a consent banner and mostly has conversions that are not subject to ITP. As a result, advertiser 1 will receive a higher % of conversion modeling than advertiser 2. This also speaks to the way we evaluate each advertiser's data and provide modeling that is tailored to their specific business needs. And lastly, high bar for privacy. Conversion modeling is not fingerprinting. Fingerprinting uses characteristics from the device to generate an ID at the user level. This allows the fingerprinter to re-identify that same user across various sessions. Certain companies that use fingerprinting may then surface this data in the reporting stage in an aggregate way. The fingerprinter hopes to use the unique combination of characteristics to re-identify a device across sessions, even if cookies are disabled or a device identifier has been reset. Device fingerprinting is sometimes also called by other names, including probabilistic or heuristic device identification. Modeling, however, uses behavior of groups of users to predict the behavior of other groups of users. It does not generate new user-level IDs, meaning that you cannot retarget or re-identify a specific user as a result of modeling. Fingerprinting is perceived by most privacy advocates as highly objectionable when it's used. Okay, so now just to make sure that all of you are still with me, we'll jump into, I think, a couple of questions, Paul, or is it just one?
Yep, I can launch the next poll now. There we go. Google has been modeling conversions since, and pick either 2009, 2020, or 2016. Just going to give you about another 15 seconds, everybody, to put in your responses there. Great, so I think we're getting a clear winner, so I'm just going to close the poll now. And let's go and share some results. There we go. You can see there that 74% of people have chosen 2016.
Yeah, wow, cool. I'm glad everybody was here listening. I think we have another quick question here about conversion modeling, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure, we've got one more. We got another poll coming up now. Let me just launch this one. There you go. What's changing with Google's attribution models?
No, I think that's for the next question. It's okay. We can skip.
Okay, let's skip.
All right. Sorry, folks. So we'll talk about attribution in a second. But let me just wrap this up really quickly. The big question that we hear, right? What makes Google different from others in this space? And largely, it's robust signals, better accuracy, actionable data, and practices that don't sacrifice user trust. And another thing that isn't included on the slide is also technical expertise. Our expertise in machine learning is a key capability allowing us to model with the highest quality. We have mastered this throughout our measurement products that have employed modeling for years. Okay, with that, I'm going to wrap up this section and move on to attribution models. So we move from beyond capturing conversions, and once you're tracking conversions, you will want to understand how to credit each ad interaction as related to a conversion. Attribution is a critical part of planning for the future and achieving your business goals by expanding your ad investments backed by data. And this is where attribution models are important. Consumer journeys are more complex than ever before. And if the recent regulation changes weren't enough, there were already complex journeys, and this complexity is only something that you can accept and adapt to move along. Cross-device, cross-network, and various format ad interactions are normal, as the consumers keep moving through them. And knowing which of these interactions were critical in driving conversions will allow you to value, a channel versus an ad format, and will be able to help you decide where to put your dollars. So, assigning credit to each ad interaction is the single most critical decision that marketers have to make today. So, what is an attribution model? attribution model is a set of rules or a data-driven algorithm that determines how credit for conversions is assigned to touch points and conversion paths. Google offers various types of models, and we'll work through most of them in the next few slides. But there are largely two types of attribution models. One is powered by dynamic algorithms, and the other one is fixed, static rules assign credit to touch points. There is a vast data scope difference between the two. The first one, the DDA model, takes converting and non-converting paths into account, while the rule-based models takes only converting paths into account. For DDA, it's based on advertising conversion tracking data. But for rule-based models, advertisers can choose a model, but no customization is available. Because you're letting the rules define which interactions to value more. The biggest difference, I believe, that you can see between these two models largely is the fact that DDA learns and updates based on performance, while the rule-based models, they don't do as much learning, and you may have to go back to these models to get basic things when you're trying to change them. So what are the various types of attribution models available at Google? So the default that everybody knows is last click. It gives all credit for the conversion to the last clicked event. Then there's first click, giving the first interaction all credit. Linear distributes the credit across evenly. We move on to time decay, which gives more credit to clicks that happen closer in time to the conversion. Position-based gives 40% of credit to the first and last interaction and 20% in the middle. Data-driven. Data-driven models are specific to each advertiser and conversion type, and that is our recommended attribution model for those advertisers who are eligible for it. But for those who aren't, any attribution model other than the last click one would give you better interactive data because it'll be, providing you input from more than just one interaction. So let's dive in slightly deeper into all of these, right? So Google's recommended attribution model is DDA because it allows you to include data from both converting and non-converting users to understand how this presence and timing of particular marketing touchpoints impact users' probability of conversion during the entire path. Now, DDA assigns conversion credit based on how the addition of each ad to the path changes the conversion probability. So as you can see in this diagram, when comparing with the other rule-based models, there is a consistent sort of shift in how an ad interaction can lead to a higher conversion. The benefits of data-driven attribution are that it's very easy to use. You just need to select the right attribution model for your business without any of the guesswork. It also powers smart bidding and constantly deduplicates and consistently measures across networks and campaigns. And what I mean by networks here is YouTube and display network along with search. It's informative and provides you clear insights into the campaign ad groups. And lastly, optimization. Seamless integration with Google's smart bidding strategies for real-time optimization. This is critical. DDA powers smart bidding, which in turn allows smart bidding to optimize the best way possible towards your goals. So now we'll move on to cross-network models. Before we jump into it, I wanted to talk about a fairly significant change coming in as far as Google's attribution models go. Until now, Google's non-last click attribution models, so these are all the rule-based models that we discussed in the slides above, were only compatible with search and shopping campaigns. Now we are expanding this compatibility cross-network on YouTube and display network traffic and events. for a lot of you advertisers who spent across the board, right? Like where you spent your dollars on search, YouTube, and display, this is a unique opportunity for you to start seeing how all of your ad formats and ad interactions interact together before a conversion occurs. And this is really, really powerful because it allows you to move beyond, the siloed strategy on ad investments that we've seen some advertisers adopt, where, oh, my YouTube strategy and messaging is X, while my display one is Y and search is Z, right? This allows you to arrange all the formats in various formats, which allows you to move your audience, your customers, from upper funnel to middle and bottom. So the second part is for advertisers using DDA or any non-last click enabled conversions will automatically see upgraded to work with YouTube and display campaigns. So these upgraded attribution models will be available to all customers via conversion settings. Advertisers that already use DDA or non-last click models could see more immediate change in conversion volume due to credit shifts. So let me just explain what this means, right? Like this is fairly significant. So what we'll do is we'll go from bottom to the top. The bottom one is fairly simple. Two search ad interactions leading to a conversion. The credit is distributed across the search/shopping touchpoints based on the attribution model. With the updated model, there is no change, right? As we move on further, if there are two display transactions and there's a conversion, display is the only touch point, so no credit is given to the first touch point. Only the last display touch point gets all the credit. As we move on further, if there was YouTube display and search interaction before the conversion, what would happen is that the credit will be attributed to search click based on the attribution model, and no credit may go to YouTube or display touchpoints. And lastly, two search interactions before a YouTube interaction leading to a conversion, YouTube gets all the credit, nothing is given to search. And as we update the models, the conversion credit will now be distributed across all touch points for the three cases on top. And the DDA uses advertiser data and the machine learning models to allocate credit based on each touch point's contribution. So what this would lead to is fractional credit. So, pretty soon, some of you are probably already seeing it, but in the future, definitely advertisers will start noticing fractional conversion credit across your various campaigns if they're sharing the same conversion action. So I've also wanted to share a few timelines here with you, right? Like, so this launch has happened, it's in the pre-stages, we are looking into rolling it out, and automatically sort of providing the eligibility across. No further implementation is required. And advertisers with conversions would have already received our, announcement earlier in this month. Now, as we've crossed May, the advertisers will continue receiving a UI alert when an upgraded model is available for your account. So keep monitoring your account for reporting and performance shifts, and share your feedback with your larger team. And lastly, once launched, any customer can select a DD or NLC model for conversions measuring YouTube and display. And this is going to substantially sort of start affecting how you make your ad investments in the future. All right, so I want to quickly talk about the attribution reports that are present in the account. And this is basically where you'll start noticing, all of this cross-network interaction. So, all of these reports are available under the attribution section within the Google Ads interface, which allows you to deep dive and identify patterns and insights for your specific accounts. The reports that are going to be really powerful for you are top paths, path metrics, assisted conversions, and model comparison tool. So as I already said, right, like until recently, Google ad attribution was only offered on search and shopping, and now this expands further. which sort of takes the YouTube and Google display networks assisting role and helps them assign a conversion. We've heard very, very often from advertisers where they say that, hey, YouTube and display, are probably not impacting my bottom conversions. And these interactions will show you how YouTube and Google actually start assisting your overall conversions. And this is a really good way to start seeing what your transitioning paths are versus what your actual true paths are across your various networks. The model comparison tool is a good way for you to start checking how moving from one attribution model to another will move some conversion credit shifts across the network. This is a really good way for you to sort of assess how much of your bottom funnel campaigns have been gaining on conversions versus your top funnel campaigns if you were on last click attribution. And this is another way for you to sort of reassess the performance of your YouTube and display campaigns in tandem with search. So enabling cross network is very, very easy. There'll be a banner in your account which will allow you to just accept the change, wherein it will start sort of picking up signals from your YouTube and display campaigns if they sit in the account and sort of provide you this path. One quick thing, if you have an MCC and you have multiple accounts, one account for search, one for YouTube and display, till you have cross-account conversion tracking, you will still be able to utilize the cross-network report that's available here. A quick snapshot of the model comparison tool. As I was telling you, once you opt into the cross-network report, you'd be able to choose network as a dimension. You'll be able to use either all conversions or very specific conversion actions that you want to check on. The look back window is on default, and I'd suggest leaving it default unless your conversion window is actually very, very different from the default, which basically toggles back to 30. You can change your date range, obviously. Oh, sorry. Let me go back. Once you toggle the cross-network model, what you'd start seeing is how does search, display, and YouTube interact together. And as you can notice in this particular screenshot here, you can see that display and video gain conversions while search loses them. And when I say loses them, it's basically, DDA comes into action and starts giving the correct attribution credit to each ad interaction. So your net conversions will remain the same. It's not like you had 100 conversions and now suddenly you go to 20, right? So that wouldn't change. All right. So moving on further, basically credit shifts are a way for you to understand how you've thought about your YouTube and display campaigns and what should be your upper funnel, middle funnel, and bottom funnel tactics. And it helps you sort of think beyond your larger, your larger siloed ad investment. So I think we already shared the poll for this section. Do you think it makes any sense to put it up again?
Yeah, sure. What I can do is just share the results, but you can then talk everyone through it. So there we go. I think we've only got I wouldn't trust those results there because I don't think it was open long enough, but maybe if you could explain which is the correct one there.
Yeah, so the right answer is cross-network compatibility. And when I say network, we mean Google's networks, which are search network, the display network, and the YouTube network. So DDA now expands to cross-network compatibility. There isn't a new attribution model. Okay, so I know in interest of time, I want to also introduce Google Analytics 4. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that this is new. This is a new sort of iteration to our Google Analytics, and this is what we are calling the future of analytics. And so I want to quickly sort of take you through this, right? Like the industry continues to change. We've spoken about it quite a bit. And the advertisers that can better understand their users, their customers, will have the competitive advantage. And I'm sure this group agrees with that completely. We already spoke about the fact that there is the customer journey today is significantly more complex than the past, and which makes measurement challenges a lot more formidable than in the past, right? So users have also raised their expectation for transparency and choice. And these are not just Google's users, these are your users, the advertisers' users as well. And it's critical for all advertisers to comply with local regulation and also respect user choices within these parameters. So, keeping all of these in mind, we wanted to ensure that Google Analytics 4 properties will offer responsible, durable measurement that will drive business outcomes for long term while meeting user expectations for privacy. So let's jump into it. The core benefits of Google Analytics 4 properties are that they are scalable with your business. So Google Analytics 4 properties can measure all the interactions people have with your brand online, giving you a complete, relevant, and timely understanding of the customer journey. It's responsible and durable measurement. It's all about sort of future-proofing your business and ensuring that your durable measurement will drive business outcomes for the future. It provides intelligent business insights powered by machine learning and very automated sort of reports, which you can pull up as you would any insights, when you go to a Google search bar. And lastly, driving business impact. Google Analytics 4 properties allow you to more effectively activate your data and insights to drive measurable marketing outcomes. So what's changed, right? So let's talk about the scalable part. So Google Analytics 4 has been built up from scratch, right? It's not just an iteration of Google Analytics. So it gives you a better understanding, and the reporting is always unsampled. Analysis will sample specific events if a particular query returns more than 10 million events. Sessions are an artificial definition of a visit that analytics uses to perform certain calculations. So we are moving away from sessions to event-based collection, and this allows analytics to better perform custom calculations and a lot faster, which in turn unlocks more ways for advertisers to report on and manipulate their data without worrying about sampling. This also unlocks more capabilities and techniques in the analysis section of Google Analytics 4. So Google Analytics is continuously investing in capabilities to ensure businesses can access durable, privacy-centric, and easy-to-use analytics that work with and without cookies for identifiers. And because of this, it allows you to adapt in a changing environment. So we already have a number of compliance and data management tools, and these have evolved over time with the changing landscape. So the Google Analytics 4 properties will be built with ways to safeguard clients' data from the beginning. Specific capabilities are being scoped to activate cookieless event and conversion measurement. And you can adjust the ads personalization setting for a specific event type or user property. It provides you the ability to gain intelligent business insights because it automates and facilitates this insight discovery, making it frictionless to get the most value from your data. So, you don't constantly have to keep looking for, these custom reports. There are already a baseline of reports that will give you insights, and you can build off that. Lastly, it drives business impact by allowing you to more effectively activate your data and insights to drive measurable marketing outcomes. And the biggest, most significant two additions to GA4 would be the inclusion of things like BigQuery export engaged view-through conversions for YouTube, and data-driven attribution. Okay, so how do you get ready for this, right? Basically, the idea really is that you have two ways of getting access to Google Analytics 4. Option one is that you use the global site tag. Option two is you use the Google Tag Manager. Casey covered all of this in the last section with you. And so this is basically the gateway to move ahead further. Lastly, the only thing that you would want to do currently is ensure that your website and your Google Ads account is linked and activate the Google Analytics 4 property, because it will allow it to gather data. This implementation will enable you to collect a history of data going forward and also take advantage of new features and functionalities as they're released. And pretty soon in the future, it will become your source of truth. So I want to quickly share the steps for how to get it up and running. And basically, you would see an invitation within your current Google Analytics property to create a new property. It will ask you to link it to a data stream, which can be a website, it can be an app. It will request you to activate enhanced measurement, and finally, you can enable it for data collection. So today we covered various topics, which combined with your last session hopefully helped your understanding on how Google can help you navigate the changes in the industry and future-proof your digital advertising endeavors. I know I've been speaking for a while, so I want to sort of ask Paul, do we have time for questions? Do we have any questions at this time?
Hi, Shashank. Thanks for that deep dive there into capturing and crediting conversions. So we're going to get to Q&A. If you want any specific one-to-one help, we offer this in AdEspresso. Obviously, we don't work as part of the Google team, but we have got experts in both Google and Facebook and Instagram ads. We can provide one-to-one strategy sessions, as well as doing tactical reviews where we review one campaign. If you're interested in those are available in the services tab within AdEspresso. You can take out a trial as well if you want to of AdEspresso if you wanted to access those services. And as a thank you for everybody for joining the webinar today, we've got an exclusive offer, which is if you go to adespresso.com/AE-webinar, as you can see on the screen there, you can get a free 14-day trial and 30% off if you decide to purchase AdEspresso. Then a quick heads up, because we've actually got two webinars in June. So obviously Google webinar today, and then towards the end of the month, I'm going to be doing a Facebook webinar. And this is going to be talking about how to successfully scale your Facebook ads. So if you're seeing some success already with your Facebook and Instagram ads, but you want to be building up your ad spend and of course the number of conversions, like the number of leads or number of sales, or just get more traffic, get more engagement, then this is the webinar for you. As always, completely free. Just go to adespresso.com/webinars there. And thank you for joining us. And yes, we've got time just for probably a couple of questions there, because I'm mindful of everybody's time. So my colleague Margie has been collecting the questions. I'm going to read a couple out here. So Casey and Shashank, first question for you. When the third-party cookies are no longer available on any browsers, what will observable data look like as part of our so-called ground truth data there?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So as the industry evolves, new methods and types of data will replace historical data sets as ground truth, often ones that are similar by nature. For example, we could use first-party data across browsers, as well as enhanced conversions data, which is basically hashed consented customer data when available. Most search conversions will be captured with first-party cookie data across browsers. And for display and video conversions, we are experimenting with event and aggregate level APIs as part of our privacy sandbox proposal. So a lot is in work, and we are continuously evolving and working towards ensuring that as changes occur, we can keep capturing the most accurate form of true data.
Awesome, thank you. And second question for you both is, how does my conversion window impact the attribution modeling?
So the conversion window defines the window for which we capture conversions and also defines the length of the path we look at. We look at all Google paid search clicks within that conversion window. So an example would be a conversion window of 30 days. And let's say, a click occurred on June 18th, then on July 1st, and then finally conversion occurred on July 30th. In this case, we will only look at click on July 1st and ignore the click on June 18th, since it falls outside the conversion window that is set for that account. Another example would be, again, conversion window of 30 days. First click occurs on July 1st, second click occurs on July 20th, and the conversion happens on July 30th. In this case, we will look at the entire click path, and we are able to assign credit to both July 1st and July 20th clicks, depending on the chosen attribution model.
Great, thank you. And I think we've got time for one last question, so I'm going to pick one out here. Okay, so one of our webinar viewers is saying they don't see a way to set up Google Analytics 4 or GA4 as you called it. How do they access it?
Yeah, so the keys to the kingdom are by referring to the content that Casey shared last time about implementing the site-wide tag, and that will allow for an automatic invitation within Google Analytics for you to set up GA4.
Excellent, thank you. So I think that's all we've got time for today. So I'd just like to finish up by saying, Shashank, Casey, thank you so much for taking the time over the last couple of webinars to help our audience understand more about conversions and crediting conversions and attribution. Also, thank you to the wider Google team who have been so generous with their time and knowledge in helping us here at AdEspresso. And I know there's been lots of questions about the replay, so just a reminder that we'll put the replay on our website, which is adespresso.com. Just go to /webinars, or go to our YouTube channel, search for AdEspresso, and we'll put the replay there. So thank you everybody for joining us, and I hope you all have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot.